We're going to walk through the various parts of a Nishijin B machine and explain what they all are. So right here we have a lock. The machines were initially in the wall in Pachinko parlors in Japan, so the attendants would use a key to swing them open so they could service them when they need to. If yours is just sitting on a tabletop, you don't need to use a key to unlock this because you can just reach around and back and make any adjustments that you need to. They don't actually make the keys, and they didn't ship them with the keys, so usually what folks have to do is they have to disable the lock or just replace the lock with a modern lock. They have all kinds of different designs for the play fields to attract attention to get you to want to play the machines. They'll have things like, you can see up here there's a light on right now because we need to add balls to the back. That's typically what the red light is add more balls. This particular machine only has one more light bulb, and it's right here in the center, and it'll flash when you get a jackpot. It looks like there should be a light here. This is actually just decorative. A lot of times they'll have lenses that, hey, that should be a light there, but it's not. It's just decoration. As you shoot the ball, it'll go around here, and there's usually a bumper that allows the ball to bounce off of it back onto the playfield. If your machine is old, it may have a hardened, brittle bumper that you might want to replace with a fresh one. In addition to that red light in the top that tells me I need to add balls to the back, also there's a sign in this window. You may see a sign that drops down letting you know you need to add balls. And even though you've got plenty of balls here in your play tray, if you try and shoot, nothing will happen because when this sign drops down, it blocks the path of balls from the play tray into the shooter assembly. This is called a receiving tray. Usually next to the receiving tray is an ashtray that just flips over. And to get the balls out of your play tray into your receiving tray so you can scoop them out and put them in a bucket and then refill the back, you usually just push this lever over to the left and the balls will roll into this tray. If they ever get stuck and they're not moving, use your finger to move the balls and loosen the weight of them. You may even want to pull down the flipper, loosen the balls, push the lever all together to get them to flow down here. Now these machines are purely mechanical. They don't need electricity to run, but a lot of folks like to have the lights working on them. So the light will flash when you get a jackpot. Your jackpots are always the same. You get paid out the same exact number of balls every time you get a jackpot, no matter which one of these you get it to go into. The only thing that you might have is some special features, such as if you get a ball to go into a certain pocket, it might open up other tulips. That's usually the case in the main attraction. Usually if you get a ball in the main attraction, it will open up any other gates or tulips to make it easier for you to get a jackpot. Okay, I've emptied this tray out of balls, and now what I want to do is I want to open up this door so we can see inside of it. First I have to open up this chrome playfield door. So I'm going to turn the machine, and then usually there is a latch here as you're facing the back of the machine on the right side. It's either a loop or it might just be a metal latch, and what you're going to do is you're going to lift up on that part and it pops open your playfield door. Now your playfield door has two tracks inside of it. Typically what folks do is they'll put either one sheet of either glass or plexiglass in the track closest to the nails. You could put two pieces. You could put one glass by the nails and plexiglass on the outside. That way you get the nice sound of balls hitting the glass, but you have the plexiglass protecting so that way the glass doesn't get broken. So this is your play tray door, and there is a latch right here, and I'm just going to push down on that latch, and when I do, I'm going to grab the play tray and swing the door open. And pull it open, and that gives me access to the back of the door, which has the shooter assembly where the balls go through to feed to the shooter lane. Here's a close-up of the shooter assembly. Typically the only reason you'd ever want to open this play tray door is because balls aren't flowing through. Maybe something got in there other than a pachinko ball, carpet fuzz, or something else that's causing it to jam up. So you've got a couple options. You've got a weighted arm here, and you can do that and it'll pop all the balls out. There's also a couple tabs right here. You can gently squeeze and then swing this open, and that gives you access to it so that you can clean anything out if there is something inside of there. Like I say, carpet fuzz, dust, etc. You've got a metal lever here. That's what lifts up the flag. So that flag in front that drops down to let you know to fill the balls. So from the back of the machine, there's a wire that goes all the way down, and you can barely see, but this wire here is moving, lifting up and down. And so what you need to do is you shut the play tray door. You got to make sure that this wire that lifts the flag rides on top of this one, and so that when there's no balls in the back of the machine, the flag is all the way down in the window, and as you add balls, the flag raises up. So what you might have to do is you might have to bend this wire so that you get it just in the right position. So as you pull down on the flipper, you can see the piston. It's got a spring on it. That's what actually launches the ball. Put one on the track. It's normally sitting on the track there. And so as I let go, it'll launch the ball. Also, as you are pulling back, there is a piece of plastic back there that's pivoting. And what happens is as that plastic pivots, it grabs the lever that's got the weight on it here, and it pops it down. And when it pops it down and pops it back up, it actually pops the ball into the shooter lane. So you have to make sure that the plastic tab on that part back over here goes above this arm here, so that whenever you pull it down, it pulls this lever and loads the ball. There's a screw here that it has an adjustment, so you could unscrew it and then you could pivot that plastic part up and down if you needed to get it to the right alignment. And here's a shot from the back. So as I pull down the flipper, you've got this metal arm here, and it has a wire on it, and that wire pushes this ball load lever, this piece of clear plastic. It's pushing it, and that wire rides along that plastic. Now, obviously the wire needs to be to the right side of the plastic. If it's ever on the opposite side, nothing will happen. So what you do is you pull the flipper all the way down, you gently pull this back and flip it out so that it's on the correct side. Now you have three bumpers. I call them flipper bumpers. You've got one here, a rectangular one. You have one up here. It looks like the shape of a house, and then you've got a round one here. So as I pull back on the flipper, it's hitting this round one. The key though is this one that looks like a house and this one down here. Those control the position of that piston that launches the ball. And so if those bumpers are too big, or they're cut, or they're in the wrong position, that piston may never actually come in contact with the ball. So you've got to make sure that the position of those rubbers line up so that your piston makes that contact. So while we're down here with the ball load lever, there is a clear post sticking straight out of the ball load lever, and then you have a wire pushing up against it. What that's for is to prevent you from having any damage if you've won too many jackpots and they start to back up in the machine. So if your bottom receiving tray starts to back up and fill up with balls, what will happen is it'll push this wire, which pushes the ball load lever out of the way. So now if you pull on your flipper and try to shoot, nothing will happen, because the ball load lever isn't loading a ball into the shooter lane. That could also be on the wrong side, causing it to not work correctly, so you want that on the right side. Also, really for home use, you really don't even need this part, because you're probably only playing with 500 or 1,000 balls, where in the Pachinko parlor they could have so many that they needed that device. Now when you pull down on the flipper, there is a spring that's attached to it that runs back here. You can see it, just a little bit of it over here, then it's all the way back, and then on this side there is a metal plate with a bunch of holes in it, and there's a nail. So what you can do is you can pick up this plate and you can pull on the spring and you can move it to a different hole to adjust the tension of the spring to shoot the ball softer or harder. We'll go ahead and shut the play tray door now. We're going to pull it, and as we close it, you might just want to lift up just a little bit. Also, a lot of times I like to push down on that latch and go ahead and have it push down just a little bit, lift up, so it closes. Then whenever you want to close your playfield door, there are usually two latches. There's a couple different styles for Nishijin. Some of them turn into the chrome frame. Some of them just latch onto it, like this latch down here. But there's always two, one right here, one right at the top of the screen, just out of view. I usually like to squeeze both at the same time so that it locks in place. Now we'll take a look at the lock mechanism at the back of the machine. So these machines typically don't have keys for them, so you either have to replace it with some kind of lock, which usually requires modifications because there's no locks you can buy that actually just slip right in here and you're done. So let me show you how the mechanics work. So you really don't have to use that lock because you can just turn your machine around, and from the back of the machine there's either a latch here, there might be a latch in the middle, but somehow there's a bar on the side, and usually with a catch at the bottom and a catch towards the top, that you activate. On this one I'm going to pull out and down. Some others you just push down, and what happens is the machine swings open from the frame. So I'm holding it because of the weight, but here's the frame that normally would be mounted in the wall of Pachinko parlors. Now I can swing this open and have access to the back of the machine. And to close it, it's just the reverse. But let me zoom in and show you the latch. So here's this latch where I will actually pull down like this. You can kind of see back here where it's lifting up, allowing me to swing this open. Now here's the latch at the top of the machine. As you can see, as I pull down from the bottom, it's lifting up here, allowing me to swing open the top. So what you could do is, if you are going to mount it in the wall, you could just take out those latches, and that way you could have it in the wall, not need a key, and you could swing it open anytime you need. Now, since these were gambling devices in Japan, people would try to cheat or steal, so they had a lot of security features to these machines. And on this particular one, I've already restored it. I've taken a lot of those security covers off that aren't needed. So right back here, there is the lock mechanism, and there used to be a plate there so that someone couldn't come in through the side of the machine and try and work a wire around and activate the lock. So that's a cover there that's not needed for home use.